Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Hopefully, you can hear me. I was having some technical difficulties before the show with a lot of feedback. So, if you can hear me, I see Dominic's here. If you could just let me know in chat. But than that, I think we are good to go today. Hey, Ray. All right, so I guess that means you can hear me. Hopefully, I'm not too loud. I'm not sure about my levels. But good morning. David is not here this morning. He is still a little bit under the weather, but hopefully on the mend. There's no point in stressing his voice and everything. So excellent. Dominic says I'm coming in loud and clear. Excellent, excellent. So hopefully everyone had a good week and a bit. I was off last week. I was renovating a bathroom, and I will be doing that, I think, not next week, but the week after. Is it next week? No, it'll be next weekend, but I will be here. I'll just be in a remote, undisclosed location. So, yeah. Other than that, I don't have a ton of news. I was looking through. There's no real slicer changes. Really, nothing huge. No new Marlin, that sort of thing. So, yeah. So nothing brand new out there. So don't have a lot of news on that stuff. I have been working on Hulk, and he's been printing fine. My first few prints were suspect, like this one. But I ended up figuring it out, and now I have a very nice benchy here. Turned out really well. So, and then I had to do the standard Voron cube, and it turned out nicely. So the next thing I want to do is do a little bit of the linear advance stuff with the accelerometer. I guess it's not called linear advance in the Clipper world. It's called input shaping. So I've got some input shaping I want to get done. So I will be doing a video on that. No, it's not. It was not a 5-minute benchy. I don't think I'm even going to attempt that until I have. Sorry about that. That was my phone. I didn't realize I didn't have it on silence. There we go. I want to get the pressure advance stuff done, and a few more tweaking and a few more hours before I even try ramping up the speed to insanely fast on that. And we'll see what we can do. I don't know if I can get a 5-minute benchy that will look any good. Most of the 5-minute benchies I've seen, they resemble a benchy. I don't know. I'll give it a shot. Maybe we'll do a live stream and try it out, and I'm sure it'll be a disaster, but it'll be fun, right? So, what are you guys printing this weekend? I know Raymond has been on a mask binge lately. He's posted quite a few of them to our Discord, and maybe right now is a good time to say thank you to all our Patreons. If you didn't No, we have a lovely Discord that these lovely people like Helge and everyone listed here contribute to, which gets them access to our Discord. So if you want to chat and share and let us know about your latest projects, Stig, for example, has a vinyl. He's converting one of his printers to be a vinyl cutter. Raymond's working on his Idex project, and then he's had a bunch of masks that he's posted on there, and everyone's kind of throwing up really interesting stuff. So it's a good place to see what's coming up. We get suggestions from you guys. So again, thanks to everyone who is supporting us. It makes a big difference, and it allows us to do a few more things that we couldn't do from out of pocket on the show. So thank you so much. So I don't have a ton of topics today. I thought I'd show a couple things I'm working on. So I'm working on this is my Printer Mods carriage, and I'm working on a nice mount. I'm trying to keep it in stock position so that I can still use the fan shroud and cooling on the ender. Just to that was my constraint that I put in place, so I could I wanted to keep the location of the nozzle in the same place. Hey, Stig. Of the stock, so that I wouldn't have to change any offsets and whatnot, and then I could still use the BL Touch. So that's one of the things I'm working on. I'll be printing this in ABS. So I went up to Calgary and picked up a thermistor and a heater cartridge for this guy here. So that's something I'm working on. Once I have proper final design, I will post the files on Thingiverse. So that'll be a orbiter video once I get that done. And that one is going to go on Kit, my Ender 3 Pro. So I'm working on that. Another thing I'm working on is this is my build plate. You can see lots of hairspray on this one. This is the build plate. It's quite thick for the MakerBot Replicator 2. It's non-heated. I'm going to be converting that to a heated build plate. So that's another thing that's on my list of things to do. And I'm working on some Clipper. So I've been playing with Clipper. So that's one of the things I was going to chat about today is my thoughts on Clipper so far. Very easy to get going. You do have to dig around for the pins mapping, because Clipper uses the standard pins if you're using an 8-bit board, for example, from the Arduino library. So it's if you pull the pin numbers from Marlin, they're not going to match up. So if you're trying to, let's say, get a BL Touch working, or get one of the other pieces working on Clipper, you have to make sure that you either have a newer board that the pins are very well mapped out on the Clipper GitHub, and they have really good configs on there where it shows you what pins are what. Or you'll have to figure out what the original pins are labeled on the Big Tree Tech or the MKS boards, if you're using an older board, or the Creality boards, and then find the proper mapping to the I'm not using the right, the Arduino mapping. So because pin 14 is actually pin 6 and stuff like that. So there is someone did a little chart and they gave you pretty good mapping, and that's how I figured out the thermistor mapping and whatnot when I got MPS set up. So, yeah. Yeah, so Stig, how's the vinyl cutter looking? Is it coming together? I know you said you just needed to add the knife or something to it, is what you were last looking on. It's kind of working. So you've got the motion and whatnot working, but you haven't quite got the cutting in place yet. The cutting implement. Are you still waiting for parts for shipping? That's right now. I think everyone is waiting for parts here and there. I did get my my screw kit. I ordered a kit from AliExpress, and it was just fasteners for the Trident. So it was basically, if you look at the building materials, it's just all the fasteners because I already had the frame and everything else. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. You've got to be able to reach the edges of your build surface and everything. Nice. Cool. So he's cut some stickers out. That's awesome. Yeah, so what else did I do the other day? I went through and all my printers I've validated and tested and tweaked because a couple of them were off for quite some time because I just hadn't got around to using them. So the Chiron is done. It's all up and running perfectly. I didn't have to really do too much to get it up and running. A couple other things I got this weekend when I was up in Calgary was I got some PEI. So one of the projects I'm doing this week is I've got these nice flexible build plates, but the other side here doesn't have PEI on it. So if you want a nice smooth surface on the back of your print rather than the textured, it doesn't work as nicely. So my plan is to take this and cut it and make it fit onto this. So I've got two of them. So I got two sheets, and so I will be adapting it so I can have a nice second PEI surface. So you'll have to, once you're done your designs, you'll have to post some pictures and maybe if you're going to share the vinyl cutter parts that you've designed, because I'm sure in Discord we might be interested in trying that out. I know I have that little it's down there. I could grab it, but it's the pen plotter that my daughter built, and I'm sure we could just quickly adapt it by putting a cutter on it, and then have it be a vinyl cutter very easily. So that'd be cool. Dominic, how are you? What have you been up to in Helge? Do you have any projects on the go? I see everyone else here too. The big things that I have are like I said, I'm doing the orbiter that's coming up. I'm working on the kind of final overview and review of the Voron, which I'll be putting out. And what else? And then I'm just going to think about what I'm going to do for the Trident. Am I going to do a build series like I did with the... Because I think I kind of want to. Because I've actually... a lot of people do the kits, but this one won't really be a kit. I will be actually sourcing parts, and then as I source parts, I'll also be cutting aluminum and whatnot. So, yeah, it'll be more of a traditional, proper, from scratch build. I learned a lot doing the V0, and I think it built my confidence a bit. So I will be taking some of the 2020 I got here, and we'll be taking it, and we'll be cutting it to the proper sizes and doing a full build. And that's fine if the 3D printed parts are still work in progress. This is on iteration 12, I think. I settled on the mount fairly quickly. It was a little bit, and then the offset for the BL Touch right here, But this actual piece, I have gone through different mounting orientations. I've gone through different widths and mounting, because the orbiter itself, you can see, has a whole bunch of hole mounting options. So you can actually, it's fairly flexible on how to mount it on the printer mods plate. So haven't 100% locked down everything, but it's one of those evolution things. Until you get it to your final iteration, you don't want to release the files. So I totally understand. Ray says, I've been playing with my flash forward resin printer this week, trying out a couple of slicers. Don't really know which is better. Yeah, I have not had the chance to play with many resin slicers. I've just seen Lychee, and I've seen a few others. So, yeah. I've been having fun printing multicolor models. Nice. Came out. So, how are you doing that one? Are you doing separate pieces, or do you have Idex, or what, Dominic, are you doing to do the multicolor? Like, is it separate pieces, like I said, or Idex, or are you using something like the Enraged Rabbit or an MMU, that sort of thing? What parts are you waiting for? Because Helge, because yeah, right now there's so many parts. I saw a screen for the V0 that I thought would be neat on to try, and that was on Big Tree Tech. I know you can get some of the screens. Actually, I thought I had. Yeah, I'll just show you this to you. So this screen is for the V0. It's pretty tiny. There we go. It's pretty tiny. It'll fit actually in the little bottom footprint of your V0. So I think they have some. So you can see it's just one of those standard little OLED screens you can get, and they've adapted it. It has a little light and whatnot. So thought it was kind of cool. Thinking I may want to try that, but we'll see. Oh, Oh, David is here in chat. I know he's still not 100%. Hello, David. I hope you're doing better today. So Dominic, you said the Marvin had 7 or 8 different colors. So is that color changing? Did you build an Idex and then do some pauses? I don't know if David even made it out of his house to his garage to do any printing this week. Do you even have a printer in your house anymore, David? Oh, so they're all individual pieces. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I know Ray is well on his way to his IDEX. He's got a lot of the pieces together, and I'm not sure if you've mounted the extruders and hot ends yet, but he's well further along the IDEX process than myself or David. So we're still in the process of working on that stuff. Two hours to glue it together. Yeah, it's amazing. 3D printing is, it's a great thing, but actually the post processing and whatnot is a whole other realm, and some people are just amazing at it. Like you can see over my shoulder there, my Mandalorian helmet. I have not done any post processing to it yet. I just haven't got around to it. So I'll have to work on that. Oh, good. So Ray is trucking along on the projects. He's got the hot ends mounted on the carriages, and I believe, Ray, aren't you using a linear rail for your X to mount those on? I do believe. I thought that's what he was doing. So he'll confirm that. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see as these projects move ahead. Yeah. Yeah. So he is doing a linear rail. That's what I thought. So yeah, and so I got the new heater cartridge and thermistor for my other project, so that'll be moving ahead right away here. Other than that, there's not a lot going on. We had our I think it was January 10th. We did our latest 3D printer workshop with our teachers at a few of the school districts here in southern Alberta, and so they got to build an Ender 3 V2, and once they had that done, we got a print going and went over safety and leveling and everything. So that was one of the recent things that's happened here. And yeah, other than that, we haven't had a ton going on, and even in the news, there hasn't been a ton. Like I said, Marlins had their one update, which I haven't upgraded to because every time I upgrade, they switch it. So we'll have to do that. What board are you going to be running in your IDEX, Raymond? Have you decided? Are you going to do Clipper, or are you going to just do a board that can run everything and do Marlin, I'm interested. Oh, and yeah, David did a trade. So David had the Delta printer, the Predator. We did a review way back when it first came out, and he traded for a Chiron. Yeah, he traded a friend of ours who had one and was having some troubles with it. So they traded up. It's missing a few pieces, and David's working on a chain, drag chain for it and whatnot. And I think he's gonna have some videos on that because he's going to, I think, change the hot end system on it. Are you not, David? That was one of the plans anyway. He might play with it stock for a bit and just get a feel for it, and then do some upgrades because it has 4988, so it's a little loud, and the fans are a little loud, so he might want to quiet it down. But if it's in the garage, not that big a deal. SKR 1.4 with a daughter board. Are you idexing it? Because SKR 1.4, you don't need a daughter board. You could just use an SKR 1.4 and you can get it all working with just that. Oh, sorry. Raymond's doing the SKR 1.4 with the daughter board for his Idex. Sorry. There's too many chats popping up. I was reading David and then I saw Raymond's. So Raymond's using the SKR. Yeah, and David's going to put the H2 on it, which brings me to another interesting thing, which I thought was kind of odd that they came out with it this quickly, because I don't know a lot of people that are going to use it, but let's take a look at this. You can get the H2 with water cooling now. I mean, you would need you'd want to have to really print like something like Peak or something else to the point where you need water cooling. Air cooling works pretty good for most of us, so it's kind of been a little bit odd that they released the water cooling. I mean, I could see if you need to, because E3D has their water cooled hot ends that work really well, but you need a real heated enclosure to need a water cooled extruder. But I mean, it's cool. Thomas Scott, printing carbon fiber for the first time. Any tips? I have never printed carbon fiber myself, so I don't actually have any tips. What I do know about it is that carbon fiber is a little more abrasive on the nozzles, the fibers themselves. And be aware that it gives you a really cool aesthetic, but it doesn't actually give you more strength. So be aware that if you're printing carbon fiber for strength, I believe Stefan did a video on that. Because the way carbon fiber works to get strength is the fibers have to be aligned, and the way it works in filament is they cut them up into little pieces and put them in the filament, and so you don't actually get more strength from carbon fiber, but the aesthetic and the look is awesome. So just be aware that it's not about strength at that point. It's about aesthetic. If you're going for strength, ABS would be great, or polycarbonate or something else. So just be aware of that. Yeah, hard nozzle if you don't want wear, because they are. It's like it's kind of like running a saw through a brass nozzle. So be aware of that. Um, and we got some good tips coming in chat here for you, Thomas. Oh yeah, and don't be around while it's printing. Yeah, it's probably going to be. So it's not the carbon, like the materials that are stronger. Yeah, if you Stefan has a bunch of videos on strength. So it depends on what kind of part you're printing. Um, Polycarbonate is very strong. Um, any if you want something that's more, it depends on your application. So PLA can be brittle and shatter when it fails, but you can get a very strong part out of PLA. But the key is not infill. Strength does not come from infill. Anyone who is printing, strength comes from the number of perimeters you have. So if you increase the wall count or the perimeter count, you will get more strength to your part. It'll be a lot more rigid. PETG will give you a part that's strong, but it's a little more flexible. ABS will give you a very strong part, and it's also will hold up if it's going into a situation where it's going to be in a higher temperature environment after it's been printed. So ABS would be good for that. Peak get and some of the and polycarbonate and whatnot. When you start looking at that sort of stuff, you do need with ABS and PEEK and polycarbonate, you will need a heated enclosure to get a non-warped print. Polycarbonate is very strong. So just be aware. It's not about the carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is all about the look. It's not about strength. Unless you're manually putting fibers in a special orientation overlapping, the weave is what makes the strength. So yeah, polycarbonate is very hard to print. You need a really hot build plate. You need a good enclosure. And make sure you're doing it somewhere where there's no small children and whatnot, and good ventilation as well. Ski bindings. Wow. That's interesting. ABS, I'd say, would probably be pretty good for ski bindings. But polycarbonate or nylon would be better, but they are definitely a little more tricky to print. So be aware. And the orientation you print, the bindings are, the layer lines are going to be your shear point. So be aware of how you're printing your model, whatever your design is, because if they're in an orientation where all the stress is on a seam, if your seams aren't well adhered to each other, that's most likely going to be your failure point. So if you look at some of Steph, like I keep referring to Stefan, but he does the load and stress tests, and you can see he prints both his stress tests in both orientations, flat and vertical, and you can see how they break with the different materials. So definitely have a look at some of those videos, because they will show you some pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, PETG is good, but again, it'll be interesting to see, what you come up with. Some of it is going to be design and whatnot, And thanks, Ray, for reminding everyone to like and subscribe. So normally, Thomas, I don't know if you are aware, normally it's David and myself. It's not me just yabbering away here. Normally we have a nice conversation between us and chat and David and I. But today, David is a little under the weather. Yeah, don't prick carabiners. It's CNC Kitchen. So if you look it up, Stefan's channel is CNC Kitchen. It's really great. So he does a lot of material analysis on his channel, and you can go back and he does brake tests. He does a lot of different tests on materials, and he actually went through some carbon fiber and showed the strength differences, and I think he even went through ASA. So if you ASA is another material that is a little easier to print, but it's very strong like ABS. But my understanding is it doesn't off-gas the same amount, but as ABS does. So keep that in mind. But yeah, CNC Kitchen, Stefan, he does some really awesome work, and so I would highly recommend you check out his stuff so that you understand more some of the material science stuff about the different types of materials, because PLA can be very strong but brittle, and then you get more flex with PETG. So you can print the same thing, but it'll instead of it just shattering, it will more bend before it actually hits the point where it's going to actually break. So he goes over all that stuff. I'm not going to reiterate it all here, but it's definitely Thomas. That's definitely a good channel to see that sort of thing. And you're asking about nylon carbon fiber. The carbon fiber, again, is just for look. It doesn't add more strength. So styrene, yes, your off gassing is amazing. So I actually just picked up a VOC filter system that I will be setting up at some point. They told me it was one thing when I got it. It actually was the slightly smaller model. So I thought I was getting a bigger one, but that would have been too big anyway. So either way, it was a wicked deal. So I only need one filter, not three now, which is great. And so I'll be able to filter VOCs out and everything. So. ABS will be fine. Make sure you have a heated enclosure, or you build a box or something to get because you want your ambient temperature up. I think David and Ray can attest to that. Your ambient temperature in the box, heat up your build plate and hot end and whatnot ahead of time to get the temperature in your heated enclosure up. Your ambient temperature in there, you want 30 plus, maybe 35 degrees. So that, and then your build plate you want at 100 110. It'll be depend on what brand of ABS you're going with, but definitely do some test prints, because ABS likes to warp. So you want to make sure that you figure out your your enclosure, if it's warm enough. Ambient temperature in your room, you don't want to print it in like a garage that's 10 degrees Celsius. You want to print it in a warm enough environment that it's not going to suck the heat out of your chamber. So be aware of that. Carbon fiber is added to prevent warping when printing. Yeah. I don't know, Thomas, are you in, because we had a Thomas in one of our classes. I'm not sure if you are in the Lethbridge Thomas, or are you in the somewhere else in the world Thomas? Because ASA, I know in Canada anyway, is a little harder to come by. Hey Ben, how you doing? Did you get your certificate? I know it was emailed out. I just want to make sure you got it. And Helge, I think you should have gotten yours as well. Yeah, so it'd be good to know where you are. Oh, good, good. Ben did get it, and the Helge, I think. I hope you got yours. If it thought it should be in your spam, because I did see it go out. Ah, yes. I thought you're here in. I thought that it was the Thomas in town because there's too many people that come in to chat. Yeah. So Thomas, ASA would be good too, but it is harder to get in Canada. It's not impossible. You just, I don't even know if Spool carries it at the moment. I know they had a couple, and then your choices on color are a little limited. You're just with Ray just popped in here. It's your standard colors, so black, white, and gray. So if you want, neon pink, you're not going to find it locally in ASA. So be aware of that. But it's definitely less fumey and a little bit more forgiving if you don't have a perfect enclosure and whatnot. So we don't have too many great suppliers of Polymaker in Canada here, but I will keep that in mind. Yeah, spray paint. Yeah, you just got to be aware of each material, ABS versus versus PETG versus all the different materials take paint differently. So you will want to make sure that you do some tests with some sort of primer if you do want to paint your stuff. I'm sure that between Ben and Raymond and some of the other people in chat, they will be able to give recommendations on what paint sticks to what. Again, I haven't done tons of post processing on things, so just be aware of that. What does Stig say here? Well, if you're going to print with carbon fiber, the color will be black. Well, black with some gray flecks and whatnot, because carbon fiber, a lot of times the fibers themselves aren't always black. They can be white too. So it depends on the brand. But yeah, everyone hears carbon fiber and think, oh, bulletproof vests or whatever, right? Or light cars and this and that. But that's actually the thin fibers that's coated in the resin, right? So then you get the strength and the lightness from it. So, yeah. Well, I'm running out of stuff to talk about. We still got 15 minutes to go. See, this is why it's better when I have someone else here to riff off of. Yeah, all the carbon fiber I've seen is more of a charcoaly kind of two-tone gray kind of color. Amazon just added a whole bunch. Okay, I'll have to look on Amazon. I haven't. Sorry about that. If you're hearing the dog in the background, 1 second here. Just had to tell them that our dog's bark collars at the front door. um, have you ordered any? No, I was waiting till they're out. It looks pretty awesome. I like the premise. Um, I do. I have the Chimera, and changing the throat in it and whatnot, taking that out in and out is very easy. I really like how the heater core and thermistor and everything and are all one piece. I think that's very good. He's not upset. He's just barking at someone probably delivering something. Probably Amazon. Yeah, he's calmed down now. My wife told him to go lay down, so he calmed down. The bark collar doesn't even have batteries in it. It's more of a Pavlovian response. We put it on him and he just settles. Because yeah, we don't even have batteries in it anymore. So yeah. But the Revo, yeah, it looks pretty awesome. I definitely will be trying one, but I don't think they're actually shipping them until March. So I'm not going to rush out and order one until they actually have stock of them, because I don't know what the inventory will be like. Hopefully, they're working and building up their inventory. Any filament with fiber reinforcement um, is going to be more for look than strength, in my opinion, because there's no way to align the filament strings so that they're long and skinny and align perfectly with the actual filament coming out of the nozzle, right? So the strength from fibers is when they're overlapping and crisscrossing, right? Because if they crisscross and they're laid out, that's how you get your strength from them. When they're just lumped in there and they're sticking in all different directions and they're not interwoven, you don't get your strength. So anything that you add to a filament is going to be like adding glitter or anything else. It adds, makes it pretty, but it doesn't really increase your strength. It was actually okay, honey. Uh, tell the dog to be quiet. Yeah, the I don't know. Everyone's talking about this and that about different nozzles. Um, I've converted a bunch of my printers to steel nozzles when I've gone all metal. But brass nozzles, I haven't really worn. I have a bunch, but I haven't really worn any out. And it's probably I'm not printing. I mainly print ABS or sorry PLA, so it's not really as corrosive on the nozzle and wearing. So yeah. But a hardened steel nozzle or like you said, the Nozzle X. I mean, those things are like, from what I've heard, those things you can pretty much run rocks through them and they don't wear out. If you can wear one of those nozzle X's out, then good on you, because they're very, very hard nozzles. But that, I think there's also a bit of a learning curve with whenever you change a nozzle, you go from brass to metal to, because the way it transfers heat into the material is different. You will have to tweak your printing processes, whether it's heat up or down, or speed a little bit, because it will change how the material melts. So just be aware. If you go from a brass nozzle to a steel nozzle, or a steel nickel plated nozzle. The way the material sticks to the nozzle as it's coming out, the way it transfers heat is completely different. So just be aware of that. So, what do we have in chat here? Yes. David has been wanting to print the Mr. Roboto head for, oh God, I think you've been talking about it for 2 years now. He initially was going to design one on his own, and I think he got distracted or bored with that, and then he found one. So he's looking at doing that one. I missed the whole chat's just flying by here. Finally got a laser engraver built, trying to get it tuned so I could. Okay. I've been watching a lot of stuff on laser cutters and laser engravers and whatnot. If you're using wood, if you do a borax mixture and then coat the surface in borax, your actual burning or your etching and into the material, the wood, will be much darker and give you a lot more contrast, which is really cool. It's a neat tip. So I was pretty amazed at the difference. There's a few videos out there on that. So look up borax laser technique, and that one's really cool. We were talking about at work getting one. We were at work we were looking at a CO2 laser for actual cutting and whatnot. So it's on the list, but I don't know if it's fully in our budget. It's we were looking at Glowforge, and we were looking at, what was the other one, David, that we were looking at? I think the company who distributed them from Texas. No, Vegas, I think, is where the company was from. I don't remember the other company's name. But yeah, we were going to give a couple of those a try. So they're kind of neat, because you can do some amazing stuff with that. We were looking at one with the roller attachment, so that you can, turn your a water bottle and etch it and that sort of thing. So Beambox, yes. So Glowforge and Beambox are the two that we've kind of narrowed it down to. So stay away from Glowforge. What, you have one? You have some experience? The Glowforge, I think we need one that has CSA approval or UL approval for the whole system. For just so it's a closed environment. Yeah, but depending on your use case, like if it's used in a school and whatnot, they're using it for a specific purpose. A closed environment is not the end of the world. but I do understand what you're saying, Ben. Like the software, you can't just grab any software. You have to use their online software and whatnot. So I think it depends on your use case. But you're right. So sometimes closed is bad. Sometimes it's good. It really. I think it depends on if the company's not going to be around in 10 years, then a closed environment is really bad because if they go under, you no longer have access to get their stuff. It goes back to the Chitu box with resin printers, right? They've now closed their environment, so it makes it difficult for other people to have slicers and whatnot because they've closed it off. So same thing. Yeah. Well, I think it's around that time again to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much to Helge. He's at our tree supports level, and everyone else that contributes. It helps make different projects and whatnot happen here on 3D Make It. So David and I both really appreciate everyone for helping out and with the channel and contributing in just that little way. We also have, like I said earlier, our Discord. So we have great, I believe Stig is going to be posting some pictures of his vinyl cutter that he's doing in there. And also Raymond will be posting some of his Idex stuff. So just keep in mind that all those resources are available to everyone. Plus, we have our monthly our Patreon support stream, which probably will be, depending on how David's feeling, either next week, or the week after. So we haven't talked about it because he hasn't been available as much as normal. So we will discuss that and get that going. Hey, 3D printing is all about mistakes and learning, right? Failure is learning. I don't think anyone should. I think that's the right attitude. Is failure's fine as long as you learn something from it, right? And that's a big thing. So, thanks everyone for coming today. And hopefully David will be well enough to join us next Sunday. And have a wonderful week, everyone. Print something awesome. And I'm out of here. So we will see you guys next week. Bye.